Says we're so shortly. We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome down to Apter's Alley on another WWW Wednesday night wrestling war. And I will tell you something. Once again, it was an incredible night of pro wrestling. Now, before we get to that, while people are coming into the room down here at Apter's Alley, welcome to and feel free to check in. Mac Davis will be here shortly to discuss it. And starting next week, beside Mac Davis, we will also have some other special guests for the second half of the show. But what do you think? Looks good? All right. So this week, as you know, I'm always hawking. My book is Wrestling Fixed. I didn't know it was broken. Well, this week, I'm also hawking another book, not a book, but another Howard Becker, voice from the past. Hey, Howard and Dougie Fresh Richards. Anyway, come on into Apter's Alley, everyone. And I want to talk about a new book before we get to the action that happened tonight on the Wednesday wrestling. My old friend, Rocky Johnson, the man who I always said had the best drop kick. He did the Ali shuffle and the drop kick, the best drop kick in the world. He's got a book out done with Scott Teal, who is like he's such a great biographer. Halfway through with it. And there's another book that I've been reading, and I'm going to confess to you where I'm reading it. The other book that I'm reading has been very. Oh, you heard something crash. You know that if you're a fan of mine, you know, fruit flavored Tic Tacs that just crashed. But it's taken me a long time to read this book because I was like, I don't know if I was that interested in it. And then I finished it this past week. Remember Danny Davis, Dangerous Danny Davis, that member of the Hart Foundation that was the referee who cheated all the time. And I read this thing, and I had such an incredible read out of this because, especially if you're in the wrestling business or anything on the periphery of the business, you got to read this book. It's just it's amazing. It's an amazing book, Dangerous Danny Davis. So 2 books to recommend here beside my own book, Rocky Johnson's new biography from ECW Press and Danny Davis's book. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of people here checking in on, and what we're going to do right now is get in touch with Mac Davis. So as you know, I use my cell phone for the audio on here when we're contacting someone else. I got this gimmick at CVS, and I'm going to try it out with the phone. The cell phone goes in here in this piece, and it says here that it will greatly enhance. Not there's been an issue. See, this is what it looks like here. It says it greatly enhances the sound, and there's no batteries. There's nothing there. So again, if you're joining us, this is Bill Apter from the Apter chat here. I'm just showing my new gimmick here, and we're going to get ready to call Mac Davis. Mac, as you know, or if you don't know, does a segment on our show called Road Trip, and that's funny as hell. It is, Casey. Let's see if we can get Mac on the phone here, and then we'll call up.
Good evening.
Good evening. Are you there, sir?
I am here.
All right. Now, hang on a minute. But can you hear us okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Yes. This is supposed to amplify. Are you there, Mac?
Hello.
Mac, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, I need you to say more than 1 or 2 things here so we can test this out. Yeah.
I'm looking at the contraption you have in the video. What is that?
Well, I got it at CVS, and for some reason, you're not as loud as you were last week. I got it at CVS, and it's a gimmick where it's a a speaker, like an old gramophone, which says it can make your cell phone speaker louder. So I didn't really hear it.
No, I didn't. I did it like you said, like an old phonograph.
Well, I'm going to stick you into the old phonograph here, and let's talk. So first of all, welcome everybody into the Apter Chat. Razviel Ramos is here. Dougie Fresh Richards. Howard back right to Razviel Ramos says, I've been a WWE fan since I was little, and I'm never going to quit now. NXT forever. All right, so you watched, Mac, I assume you did not watch any NXT tonight. Is that correct?
That's correct. Only AEW.
You only watched AEW tonight. Okay, so let's do the, by the way, before we go on and get your take on this, and we'll call my notes up, as you all saw, I met with Cody Rhodes in Philadelphia yesterday at his hotel. He was gracious, so did. And Mac, you know about this. I also did an old school PWI style scouting report with him where I took my personal top 10 wrestlers of AEW and I had him give their strengths and weaknesses. And that again was taped yesterday. So what happened tonight doesn't have any relevance on that. And I'm putting that together. It's about a 35 to 40 minute scouting report with Cody. A few days.
Yeah, and I know that particular video, Kenny Omega may not have been rated quite high as he may like, but after tonight, it's just a heck of a match.
Well, we're going to get to that because I don't know why you're not coming through as loud and clear as you usually do here. Are you on the same phone you're always on?
Let's try this. Does this sound better?
Oh, that's much better. Much better.
There we go.
Much better. What?
I better get rid of it.
Oh, this is great. Now you're coming here. Here's the megaphone gimmick. You're coming across much clearer right now. It works.
Okay.
Call CBS. Okay, so let me call up my notes on everything that went on tonight. And I want to thank AEW, by the way, for setting up the interview with Cody in Philadelphia. And also our good friend Bill Pritchard from WrestleZone was there, and he did a great interview, which is on 3 of the War, Wednesday Night Dynamite. And you know what? The first thing I want to mention, and Mac, you probably would agree with this, the production was incredible.
The production for AEW has been top notch since the very first show.
Not just what happened in the arena, but did you notice also with that in their kitchen at the Nook?
Yes.
And then it went on to show all these people. It showed Cody in that water gimmick. It showed Cody training. It had Brandy talking about Cody going after Chris Jericho next week, and not next week on at Full Gear. It had Tony Schiavone, and it also had one of my favorite people in the whole world, American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, also was on that. And I have to tell you, the production of that spot was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I actually made notes that that particular promo I thought was really well done. And they noticed, we've talked about this in a couple of the other shows leading up to tonight, and that being that they needed to kind of educate the fans as to who people may be, because there's a lot of new faces. And I think they started doing that a lot tonight during this program tonight.
They certainly did. It's funny, the main executive at AEW, and although it's not on these scouting reports that you'll see later this week, he asked me what I thought of the show and if there's anything that I thought could be fine-tuned. And my first reaction was that a lot of people are tuning into this show and they don't know who's who. So I said, I think there needs to be more words, more verbiage there of who's who during the match, like boxing. matches amongst Red Trunks. So, during the match, somehow, even on the ring introductions, perhaps. What do you think?
I think that they can probably educate the fans quick enough if they keep doing what they're doing right now. They may not need to do that, although that's a great idea. I think I've never really thought about it that way, but that's not a bad way to address the issues of who's heel and who's face. Which now,
wait a minute. This is an old school show. Good guy and bad guy, please.
Good guy and bad guy.
Really?
But I had a hard time determining who's who.
Oh, I did too. So we're going to talk about that. So the match, the AEW, I watched a lot of AEW, and I did channel flip to NXT. And once again, that whole aura of AEW just sucked me right in.
The entire atmosphere of AEW, if it doesn't suck you in as soon as you turn on the TV, then you're pretty much finished with TV altogether.
Yes, I think so.
It's hard to miss that show. Just the heat of the people in the ring is just contagious.
Absolutely. I know I keep saying we're going to get to my notes here, but there are people with comments and questions. So let's go to the comments. Brian said AEW Dynamite was awesome-tastic. I like that tonight. I agree. Casey says that's funny as hell. So Casey is raw, says I work at a semi-trailer shop and listen to loud music, so I need that. You need this gimmick for you? Yes. All right. Norton, Virginia, checking in. Adam M. Welcome, Adam. Brian V. Is Arn Anderson and DDP with AEW full-time now? I just talked to DDP a few days ago. He's there when they need him. Same thing with Arn Anderson. Kevin B., what's up, Bill? Enjoyed your mags in my youth. Thank you very much. And let's get back on topic now. So we started off, of course, with the tag team tournament, SCU versus Best Friends. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Lucha Brothers could not continue. They put him in the neck brace. Kazarian thought he was going to be going at this alone, and Scorpio Sky came out to help. And in the end, SCU won a pinfall by Scorpio Sky. He was incredible tonight. He was really on his game, wasn't he, Mac?
Yeah, absolutely. This is, again, typical for AEW for 3 shows in a row now. They come out with a fantastic match. And I love seeing how the guys were doing their best to make need to get over. And I really love seeing that in that match.
Yeah, but what I got, I sat down. I was supposed to be at the show tonight, but I had another engagement that I had to, I'm married, so it wasn't that kind of an engagement, but I had another engagement that I couldn't get there on time. So I figured I would help their ratings go up and watch it at home. And when that attack came by the Lucha Brothers, I was like, whoa, right away they got you. You just thought this was going to be a match, and that element of surprise.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what wrestling really is. Never knowing what's going to happen next.
Yeah, well, that actually was the theme at the beginning of it this morning. Over on NXT, Imperium, Fabian Aichner and Marcel Barthel with Alexander Wolf defeated Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan. And then Roderick Strong and the Undisputed Era. Later on, Velveteen Dream was supposed to go against Roderick Strong for the North American title next week, and William Regal came out and said that's not going to happen. Velveteen Dream is kind of finished for the foreseeable future. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen there. MJ 1213 Lucha Brothers, the best tag team out at the moment. Thanks from South Philly. That's all right. I'm only 14. That vignette with Cody and Brandy at home. Cody was very distracted, and the workout, it was all about Full Gear against Chris Jericho on November 9th. It's amazing because this afternoon, I got a text from my daughter at about 12:15. She works for an agency in New York City, and she was sent once in a while. She gets to go to these panel casts. It was the David Rubin Company, and there was about 8 podcasters up on the stage. And she texted me. She said, "Chris Jericho's up there." So he did a whole podcast thing this afternoon in New York, and then he came to Philadelphia to become the evil painkiller tonight. Painmaker. Did I say painkiller? I did. Yes, the painmaker tonight. Wait, let me put this closer. Yes, I did say that. But what amazed me, I talked to Cody about this in these scouting reports coming up later this week, is that this incarnation of Chris Jericho is the most unique, angry, vile at times, and creative incarnation I have seen of Chris Jericho. He does not resemble the Chris Jericho who used to stand in the PWI photo studio for me for hours and show his beautiful yellow hair and say, put the light here. But he is just I can't even find the word. He's just tough right now, and he's different than I've ever seen him before. He's even nothing like he was when he left the WWE.
And he has the ability to be a chameleon. He can change at a moment's notice. That's what makes him so remarkable and so good in wrestling.
Night Warrior Alive just said, good point about Jericho. He is on a different level, and he definitely is on a different level, because this is it's not the same Chris Jericho, and his ego is definitely much larger and much broader than I think it's ever been. Did you notice, by the way, that unless it was not audible on TV, that no one yelled out Y2J?
I did. I was waiting for some of those chants, and didn't notice any recognizable chants, really.
Yeah. Andy says, I admire how he reinvents himself on the fly. That is true. He changes with. We're going to talk more about him when we get to his match. So we had the very first AEW women's title match, the defense. It was Riho against Dr. Britt Baker. And it was a good match. It was. It seemed a little uncomfortable at the beginning. Did you get that feeling?
I did. I thought that it was a little rocky in the very beginning. Yeah. It turned into a really good match by the end.
Very well. It's right here. You're talking about good matches here. It's saying that. Oh, there we go. My internet connection went down. It's stormy here in the burbs of Philadelphia. So yeah, but the amazing part of this is the way that Riho, the submission, she was almost giving up. It was that lockjaw thing that Dr. Britt Baker put in. Finish.
I was really concerned when Riho won the championship, because she's so tiny, and I didn't know where they could go with her other than the typical, David versus Goliath. But she has done just incredible. I also saw a little edgier side of Britt Baker tonight too.
Oh, I did too. I did too. And she's I'm having some Tic Tacs in honor of the dentist there. I thought after she put her hands into Riho's mouth there, Riho was going to be. Maybe that's why she does it. Did you notice, by the way, the giant Ted Turner head in the audience? That someone held it? That distracted me so much. Ted Turner is back with this whole thing. Let's. MJ said, "Do you think the no Y2J chants is because fans don't want to show WWE love because they're tired of their product?" No, I think no Y2J chants because he doesn't resemble Y2J anymore. Brian V, do you think Eric Bischoff will move back to Wyoming homing now. Feel bad that he sold his home and moved to Connecticut. It's off topic, but I'm going to answer this question. I would be shocked. I know right now he is booked for StarCast 4, and I would be shocked if we didn't see him in some form somewhere in the next 6 months in AEW. What do you think?
I go back to an interview I did with podcast a couple of months ago where when everything was announced, my first impression was he's a scapegoat. He's going to be the first guy that's going to get the bullet the second the numbers go down.
You think so?
That's exactly what happened. But what I'm saddened by, and I hope this isn't the case, because you read in the trades today, a lot of people were, rumors saying that he got let go because of the ratings. Surely that can't be.
No, it can't be because it's only been a few weeks. It can't be. It's got to be something else.
Yeah, and everybody knows that first show was loaded with legends and big names. They could not expect to reach that number again the following week. So I don't buy that it was ratings. It's something else.
No, definitely not. And I don't think that Eric, and again, I think Eric is quote unquote a wrestling guy. He's a TV guy. He's a movie guy. I just don't think Bruce Pritchard is so much more tuned in to what the product is. And again, this is my own opinion. But Eric Bischoff, unlike the Eric Bischoff of ages ago back at WCW, the cocky Eric Bischoff, this Eric Bischoff congratulated Bruce Pritchard and wished him the best of luck.
That's better.
Would have done that. Old Eric Bischoff would have, not the old Eric Bischoff, but the younger Eric Bischoff would have just blown off Bruce and said something nasty. All right, let's get back.
A cup of coffee at somebody.
Maybe. So let's get back on topic on NXT. Loesch Shirai beat Caden Carter. Pardon my pronunciation on some of these names. And then we had a tough heavyweight match with Keith Lee against Dominic Dijakovic. That's the guy they got to change his name. Attack them and end the match. We had on AEW Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy, the Jurassic Express against the Lucha Brothers. And I'll tell you, some of those spots in that match, in that tag team match, that was another match in the tag team tournament. Some of the spots in that match was incredible. When Pentagon took Marco Stunt by the hair and swung him around like the opposite of the big swing there. It was a very exciting match. It was well done. And as you could tell, the Philly crowd is a very a crowd that if you do the right thing, they really let you know. If you do the wrong thing, they'll let you know. And they were really behind this match.
They really were. Now, I don't know that they weren't behind any matches tonight that I can tell.
I'll tell you something. And again, I love the Philly crowd. And even during the girls' match, tried to boo them out of there, but that didn't happen. That didn't happen tonight. They were a very respectful crowd. The Philly crowd wanted to be there tonight, and it was so very obvious. By the way, did you see our on Twitter, our buddy Josh Chernoff, who I used to do the Apter chat with, now with Fight TV, interviewing some of the fans during the show?
No, I understand something.
Yeah, check that out. And you're doing a great job, Josh. Very proud of you.
Yes.
We go back now to, and that match, of course, was won by the Lucha Brothers. And you know what I want to see? I want to see the Lucha Brothers against, who the heck would that be? Inner Circle. Santana and Ortiz. I want to see the Lucha Brothers against Santana.
Skip too much further ahead. Also, Luchasaurus. They mentioned that he was out with injury or something medically with his leg. I hope he's okay.
Yes, I hope so too. And also going back, we forgot to mention that Santana and Ortiz, who were part of the Inner Circle, took on John Silver and Alex Reynolds. And it was a very quick win. And it was announced that Santana and Ortiz will be, and this Chris Jericho announced this, will be taking on if they accept, the Young Bucks at Full Gear. It's going to be a great match. And, last week the Young Bucks lost on TV, but I don't think they've lost any of their enthusiasm or any of their stuff in the ring. So I think them against Santana and Ortiz will also be a fantastic match taking place at Full Gear.
Isn't it interesting how you didn't see the Young Bucks tonight on TV? You didn't see Cody.
Absolutely. And then what I thought was the main event, even though they didn't announce this as a main event, and I want to put an asterisk here. I want to congratulate and compliment Justin Roberts, the ring announcer. He is so professional, you almost feel like it's a boxing match, a major boxing match every time he introduces a match. Do you get that feeling too?
I do, and I think that's the key to his success and has been as being a fight, a championship match.
Yes,
presented that way.
Yes, absolutely. So this was not called the main event of the night, but to me, it was. We had Jon Moxley and Pac is back against Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Did you hear that incredible reaction that Kenny Omega got from the crowd?
He was a match that I've seen in probably the last 3 or 4 outings.
Yeah, well, he's. You have to understand that Kenny has been in a rut recently. He was very up in energy tonight, but again, this was a tag team match. So in terms of AEW rankings, like the ones that fans will see when I run that scouting report in a few days, he is not near the top of the list in the single rankings. And you and I helped put these rankings together for to Cody, where Kenny Omega was ranked by you and I. He said to me, Kenny's fans are going to be upset. But then again, if we're going on matches and wins and losses, what the heck? What could I tell you? Let me go back to some of the questions here before we get further in here. Brian V., I got to interview AJ Awesome yesterday, Bill. I told him he was the next Bill Apter. Oh, tell my wrestling Johnny P. I've enjoyed your interviews over the years. Much respect. Well, much respect for you for saying that. 100% about Roberts. Very underrated. Yeah, very underrated ring announcer. Johnny P., the AEW title is a thing of beauty. It's a good-looking belt. All right, so we had Moxley and Pac against Hangman Page and the amazing reaction of Kenny Omega. Some of those dragon suplexes that Kenny I thought he was going to be breaking necks.
I'm trying to hold my tongue about a few things that I saw in this match and everything else, but Kenny, to me, and he gets a lot of heat for the way that he presents himself in the ring and the extra theatrics that he does. I'll be quite honest, I enjoy that difference in Kenny Omega. It makes him stand out in the ring.
Oh, I did too. And Omega brought in a barbed wire broom and a barbed wire bat, and Pac came in and took both of them away when they were close to him, and he kept yelling to Kenny Omega, use your head, use your head, use your head. And Omega did the Stone Cold 2 fingers and beat the crap out of him. And now we've got next week in Pittsburgh a match that I am looking to see. Omega be absolutely amazing. It's going to be an amazing match. It's going to be a brutal match. Did I say Kenny Omega? So I'm talking Moxley.
Yeah. Omega. It was Moxley that gave the double finger salute.
Right. I'm listening to a beep coming on my phone to someone. I'm not picking the phone up because they don't know we're on the air here. But yeah, that match to me was absolutely awesome. That was the match of the night, in my opinion.
I thought it was.
This was the main event, and I agree with you. And finally, the last match, Darby Allin, who came into this match where everyone thought he was going to get the tar beat out of him. Well, he did. And the World Heavyweight Champion, Chris Jericho, will go on to Full Gear with the belt. Now, did you notice? Of course you noticed, the thing that the broadcasters were saying, they've never seen this before, and neither have I, is that Jericho went out of the ring and got some duct tape. Got duct tape on the wrists of Darby Allin, so Darby Allin allegedly couldn't do anything. But Darby Allin pulled off some of the best flying maneuvers I've ever seen anyone with no use of hands because of duct tape do ever. I mean, did you see that spot he did where Jericho was out of the ring and he went through the ropes?
Yes, and that's the one thing about this entire show, top to bottom. They were making stars tonight. They were bringing people up that you never thought would get to the level they got as fast as they have, and that shows bringing these new guys up that it's just fun to watch.
Yeah. So overall, let's see where my notes of hello everybody. I've got my notes up here. Hang on. Let me get them back up here because they were reduced for a minute. So at the end of the match, of course, the Inner Circle ran in and Jake Hagar cost Darby the possibility of winning the title when he whacked him up on the ropes when the referee wasn't looking. And it wound up, of course, with Darby Allin being pinned by Chris Jericho.
Would you mind if I gave one critique about the entire show?
You can give 10 critiques. That's why we're here.
The only thing that stood out to me tonight, and I've noticed this in other shows leading up to tonight as well, there are a lot of the same moves being used in a lot of the matches, one after the other, and a lot of people diving through the ropes.
Yeah.
If I had to count how many people were diving through ropes tonight, I'd probably lose count. But that's one thing I think that they need to tweak and kind of fix so that we're not seeing the same thing over and over again in matches.
Prior to them going on the air several weeks ago, that even in the independent shows years ago, everybody had their own gimmick. Everybody had their own thing. If somebody used a figure four leg lock on a show in an earlier match, then you didn't use a figure four leg lock. If somebody did a backflip off the ropes, then you didn't do a backflip off the ropes. I remember growing up when I used to see wrestlers like Carpentier would be on the top rope. He did that backflip. Nobody else did that on the show. Rocca did 3 drop kicks and a backbreaker. Bruno did the bear hug. Nobody else did it. But today, even in the independent matches and the independent shows, I see people trying to, can you top this with the same moves? I agree with you.
Yes.
That was a little on my soapbox. Angelo Russo. Hey, Angelo says it was a flashbacks to the old WCW days. As I was walking on the streets of Philadelphia about an hour before my interview with Cody Rhodes yesterday, I bumped into Jim Ross. And he said, "Hey, Billy, what do you think?" And I said, one of the best things that has happened to pro wrestling in years is I feel back at home again. And he said, "What did you mean?" I said, "I was part of the team, but when I heard you, Jim Ross, and Tony Schiavone back on the microphone, I felt like I was back home watching pro wrestling again." Do you get that feeling?
I do, and those are two voices I grew up with. You know, being from the South, even more so for me, those two voices were part of my wrestling history. 605 Jim Ross on TBS, and
Sure.
You know, and then you had Tony Schiavone. Those are just, to me, I'm trying to think of anybody else. Gordon Soap.
Well, but again, just hearing mentioning this because of talking with Jim Ross, I also got to see Jerry Lynn yesterday, and Jerry, as you know, is one of the trainers at AEW, and he was telling me that at the beginning he was almost like, you know, why me? Why did they choose him? And you know, some of these wrestlers like Jerry Lynn, who everyone there's no one in the business who doesn't like this guy. To see how pumped he is about this company, and he said it's making him feel younger, being around all these young guys and helping advise them and train them. It's just, you know, it's great. AEW has really grabbed an audience so fast. And it's you and I, Mac, were talking a few weeks ago. Is their audience going to grow pro wrestling right now because of the proliferation of all the publicity that's going on about AEW? More people are talking about it, and they are growing.
They're absolutely growing. And this week's numbers, you know, I thought for a while we may not see the real shakeout of some of these numbers until another few weeks away. Although this week could be very telling as to what we may see in the future.
That is a possibility because this week number, and again, and I want to compliment the is AEW because if you really think about it, the audience is a large part of the show. They really are.
One thing I learned in radio a long time ago, and you probably did as well, Bill, when you make the audience a part of the show, your show grows. That's how it was in radio. There's no difference really, even in wrestling or entertainment of any type. When you involve the audience, they feel like they're part of what's being done. It's a win-win for everyone.
So, able with everyone at AEW around you here, and they said, what did you think tonight on a scale of 1 to 10? What would you give it?
I'd give it a good solid 9. To be honest with you, there's still a few things that, like I said, you know, the constant repeating of moves and dives kind of ruins it a little bit for me. But outside of that, it's still really one of the best shows on TV right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And by the way, I took another look this week at the Tower, and man, oh man, when you talk about a pro wrestling show, and it's on YouTube for you fans who are NWA fans, it's Georgia Championship Wrestling all over again. It's amazing.
I watched it today.
What do you think?
The entire show.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible. It does. It takes you back to the old days. That feel is there. And I love watching the guys walk out onto the stage area looking at the audience to deliver their interviews because it's a different style of promo delivery.
The fans in that little studio are so into that too.
Yes.
I remember when I used to go and photograph the old Georgia Championship Wrestling shows, and the fans were such a large, I'm talking about fans a lot tonight, but the fans were such a large part of it. I never forget, do you remember the old song, That's the Way, I like it.
I like it.
All right. So when Dick Slater used to come out they had no music back then. There was no music there. When Dick Slater would come in the audience, there'd be like 13, 14 girls. They go, when Dick Slater came out, that's the way, we like him, So and the audience was always shown, and they always had a great time. And the broadcaster, who was Gordon Soley, indeed, would always say, well, we have a wonderful crowd here tonight. And it was like the same crowd every week. But you wrestling fans are just great.
Yes,
you really are.
That's what makes that. Hey, talk to the wrestlers. Most of the times, even though they get paid, they're getting.
We're talking about broadcasters and the NWA show. Take a look at the NWA show, and next week I'm talking to the people that are here at Apter's Alley. And next week, let's bring some of that stuff up. Joker Jack says NWA Power is awesome. How do we know you're telling the truth? You're a joker, Jack, but that's true. Keith Barbero, NWA Power, with 3 R's, Power, because it's so good you want to watch it 3 times. That's great. You should send that into them. The old studio crowds are what makes the shows so exciting. So we were talking about the broadcasting, and I can't, we're down here in Apter's Alley, and probably one of the greatest moments of my career was being put next to the seat next to Gordon Soley, the dean of wrestling broadcasters, to do this tape. This was wrestling's very first pro wrestling videotape, Lords of the Ring. This was before any of the WWF or WWF. Mac?
I do. I've seen that cassette, as a matter of fact. It's been a long time ago, probably about that time they made the wheel.
Yeah, right, exactly. But this was, I co-hosted this with, and if some people out there want to know what this, do you know what that is? You Google this. It's called a VHS tape. That's like Google this and then go like this. But yeah, it was, since we're talking about broadcasters, and the tape is right up here. And then I got to do a second one with him, Ringmasters, The Great American Bash, and I only have the Japanese version of the tape down here in Apter's Alley. So do you see that?
Well, hopefully it comes with subtitles.
It does. And I would have liked to have seen the. By the way, I have over here, and I'll show this on another night. Maybe I can turn this around. This is my. Can you see this? This is my ladder of success. This is 16 Hall of Fame awards that I've gotten, and there's one award that everybody says is the most important award that I could be given. It's the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer, because that's voted for by the fans, right? Okay, so Dave never made plaques, and I felt empty. And I had an old bald. I hate to use the word bald. Oh, come on, it's still here. Wait a minute, comb over is still here. See that? There we go. I have a bright light here, so it's going to look even bolder. But I had an old plaque that one of the wrestlers didn't accept, and I decided to make my.
The Wrestling Observer, oh, there it is. You're a little bit behind the video.
Yes. There it is.
That's a great job. Yeah.
There it is, and I did the artwork on it. But I want to thank all the fans that voted for me on the Wrestling Observer. Mac, it's just about it. We've gone our usual 45 minutes. We're at 47 minutes. Let's just see if we have any other questions. And by the way, last week, by the time yesterday came, we had about 600 people that watched us between live and the replay. So if you're watching this on the replay, you might be in another country. You might just be saying, I couldn't do it after after AEW and NXT for whatever reason. But whatever it is, I'm glad, Mac and I are glad to have you here. Next week, beside Mac, we will have another special commentator here. And Matt Lee soon?
I hope to be doing one soon. As a matter of fact, I just confirmed one earlier today with somebody in New York City.
I'm sorry, somewhere where?
In New York City.
Did you really?
Sure did. I'll be coming to New York City. My wife and I will be coming up there for the holidays, spend a few days there, and So I made a phone call and got an A-OK for one, and hoping to get one more before I get there.
Well, that would be great. That would be great. And before we go, Joker Jack says, I know this may be a silly question, oriented storylines going on in WWE. Do you think WWE has rehired Vince Russo? I'll read that again. With all the nonsensical storylines and adult-oriented storylines going on in WWE, do you think WWE has rehired Vince Russo? I'm going to say no, because I don't think at this portion of his life, Vince Russo would even think about the love angle. I really don't. But
they need somebody. There's no doubt about that. Their storylines are not connecting with a lot of people.
Well, they're trying to bring the Attitude Era back somehow on Raw, and this thing with there are several things rubbing people the wrong way. So now we can't leave, Mac. There's things rubbing people the wrong way. That this Lashley Lana thing in the massage room, that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Also rubbed a lot of people the right way. And also, you know what is that the Chad Gable thing, that they're calling him Shorty Gable.
Shorty Gable.
Yeah, now when we were growing up, there were kids who were short, and you called them Shorty. And if there were guys big and tall and heavy, you called them Chubby or Fatty or whatever. You can't do that today.
You can't insult anybody in any shape or form. You get sued.
Right, exactly. So I don't know this whole thing with Shorty. Does that bother you at all, that they're calling him Shorty Gable?
That doesn't bother me, but the Lana and Bobby Lashley Russo thing, that does bother me, mainly because I think most fans, it has nothing to do with the actual, just came out of nowhere, and it's so unbelievable to think that a woman's husband would just stand in the ring while a man's making out with her. It's just so unrealistic and so bad that I think the fans are saying enough is enough.
Maybe. Angelo Russo says, could you try to get George Napolitano on my show? Yes, George. I love George. I've known George forever. George is one of the best wrestling photographers in the world, and he's a great guy too. And he's from Brooklyn.
I had a chance to meet him.
So, MJ1213, we were going to sign off, but we got some more questions here. MJ1213, the main problem beside all that is the in-ring product and the fact that the really good guys don't get enough attention, in my opinion. Okay. Joker Jack says, it seems like Gable is embracing the nickname, but then again, it's giving him exposure. So,
and that's very true. He could be not getting a push whatsoever.
This is going to come out of nowhere, but this is what happened to Cody Rhodes. Cody was given push as various characters, and it never really connected to the point where it was moving him up and up and up. And I'm wondering if this Shorty thing is going to also leave Chad Gable where he is right now. So Cody got out, and you see Chad Gable thing doesn't just stick him with this whole Shorty thing as a negative.
Well, the only flip side of that, though, would be that where was he before?
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Storyline, where was?
Yeah, Joker Jack says, I think the Shorty thing will plateau. Sportsfan 316, hello, Mr. Apter, where are you? We started 53 minutes ago, and we're getting ready to go home now. So Sportsfan 316, if you have a question, son, now's the time to do it. So Mac, you're coming up to New York, and you're going to be doing some interviews. And of course, when you come to New York City, wonderful Willie will come and show you and your wife the town, if you will.
Very good. Yeah, and the name, by the way, that agreed to do an interview with us, we're going to be meeting David LaGreca from Busted Open Radio.
Oh, of course, David LaGreca, yes.
There.
Yes, is Bully.
I have no idea. I hope not.
Do you know I'm one of the few people who can do an imitation of Bully Ray?
Let me hear it.
Well, you got to tell me, you got to pick a wimpy wrestler and tell me you think that that wimpy wrestler is going to beat me, and I'll be Bully Ray. Okay? Go ahead.
Marco Stunt is going to tail Bully.
You're trying to tell me that that little puny guy, Marco Stunt, is going to beat me as long as I've been around and beaten little wimps like Spike Dudley? See, there you go. Sound like him?
You sound just like.
Last question here. I don't know if this is a stream just focused on a particular topic. It was, but it's not anymore. If not, do you have any early 2020 Hall of Fame predictions? Whoa, that's great. You know what? Let's save that for next week. Let's do this next week. Come to Apter's Alley. Mac, you come with your list. I'll come with a list. And you fans come and bring friends and tell them to watch. And we will come up next week on this weekly Wednesday night at 10:15 or 10:20 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll come up with it next week in honor of Sports Fan 316, son. We will do that. Okay. Have you got you starting to think on it already, Mac?
Well, I know this is a name that belongs in the Hall of Fame and has belonged to there for a very, very long time.
You want to hold it till next week?
Legendary. That's the legendary Bill Apter.
Oh my goodness, I know that guy. Well, a lot of people keep telling me that. Like I said, I'm in 16 Hall of Fames, and thank you to everyone who's put. And I know everybody, but I love the people out there who come over and talk to me about things that I did back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and not even as a wrestler, but you talk about me and all the other people, great teams that I worked with at Pro Wrestling Illustrated and WOW Magazine and Inside Wrestling and The Wrestler. Thank you all. And is that ever going to happen? WWE Hall of Fame? I don't think so, but the Hall of Fame that's most important to me is the one of every fan and friend like you who thinks I belong there.
Thank you. You do belong there, and my guess is that there are people like Triple H, Paul Levesque, and Stephanie who know your value and know you for who you are and remember what you have brought to this business. And it's been an incredible amount that you have done for everyone. And it's not, and I'm not just trying to put you over. I know it's your show, but honest to goodness, you were the connection to the wrestling world for so many people before social media and the internet ever came along.
Well, I always say, and I mean this, great staff of people, me, Craig Peters, Stu Sachs, so many other people, Brandy Mankiewicz, Dan Shockett, Eddie Elner, and all that. But there is a way that I probably can get into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Well, how's that?
Everybody's got their price. We're going to have him on the show one week too. Mac Davis, thank you for being here for this. And Joker Jack, yes, I will give it to you. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, all my little babies, boogieing down Broadway, if you will. My son Cody, bless what he's doing. Bless his little heart, if you will. All right, that's it for Apter's Alley. It's time to shut the lights off because the electric bill comes here in 2 days. And Mac, anything you'd like to say before we do our sign off?
No, just invite folks to stop by and visit me on my Facebook page at Mac Davis, and also Twitter, same handle.
Mac, is wrestling fixed?
Bill, I didn't know it was broken.
We'll see you at the matches. We will.